Hey, it says we're live. Hopefully, we're live. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Keep Calm and Carry. I really do appreciate it, as always, you guys stopping by and saying hi, hanging out with us on another awesome Monday night. I just need to make sure that everything is up and running correctly, and it looks like we are good to go. I just need to click out of this and then slide that over to the side and we're good. Okay. All right. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Again, thank you so much for swinging by and hanging out. Tonight, we've got a really cool guest. I've been kind of dabbling in his stuff over the last, I would say, probably 6 months or so. And we've basically got a very similar channel, I would say. I think his fit and finish on his channel is a little bit better than mine, but it's always good to have like-minded individuals and checking things out. So let's say hi to everybody in the chat room. We've got a few people in there already. Shocker Shooter jumping in there first. What's going on, man? Really do appreciate you. And we'll get you a special package on your way here real soon. Corey, what's going on? Tactical Pineapple, Milspec Guy, what's up, man? GG, LFG, GG. What's going on? Hope everything's going down and going good for you down south there. Dan Booker, what's up, man? Good to see you. And that, Rich, what's going on? Good to see you from all the way over yonder out of the UK. Good to see you. Hooty hoo, what's going on, man? And got Wood Joe, what's up? All right. Hey, real quick, I wanted to provide you guys an update. Last week, I talked about Mike Moser, Officer Mike Moser. He passed away in the line of duty. So a lot of people call that, what do they call that? End of watch is what they call it. I had a couple people donate some money, and I am going to put a link down in the description of this. Once the live chat is over, I'm going to put a link to the GoFundMe if you're interested in supporting the Moser family. He did leave behind a wife. You guys may know Corinne Moser. She's the Shield Maiden on Instagram, but he also left behind a daughter as well. Both of them are firecrackers. Both of them are going to be just fine. I did see yesterday that they did a really, really nice send-off in Overland Park. So it was really, really cool to see all of that breaking down. So if you're on Instagram, go over to Corinne Moser and follow her, and you can look on her stories and see everything that they did for Mike to say goodbye to him, which is really, really nice. In addition to that, I did have a few people donate to the channel, and I immediately went over and donated that money to the GoFundMe page. I have it on last week's pinned comment on the live chat I did last week, but I also put it into a pinned comment this week as well. If you guys are interested, I would encourage you guys to do that. The channel donated $500 to the Mosers to help support them in any way they see fit, whether that be for the funeral arrangements or college tuition or whatever the case may be for Mike's daughter. So $500 from us to them to say, really just to say thanks to Mike, because regardless of how you feel about law enforcement, Mike was a good dude. Mike was one of us. Mike was one of the guys that really cared about the 2A community and making sure that people were as prepared as they possibly could. So there you go. All right, we got a couple more people jumping in there. Trigger Jiu-Jitsu, what's going on? You're next. Hey, F you, you're next. Let's see. And yeah, MW, what's going on? Good to see you, man. The whole fitness thing hurts. Yeah, it does. It does. Motivation hurts too. So, all right, let's jump into this. Naturally want to say thank you guys for joining in. The Gun Snob, good to see you. And wanted to say thank you to my Patreon members, especially the new people that are jumping in. And let's jump on to this and add in. There he is. Tactical considerations, man. So do you want me to call you tactical? Do you want me to say consider? Do you want me to call you?
Most people just say TC when we're doing the streams.
Okay, we'll do that. TC, man. What's going on, man?
It's easier that way.
Yeah. Shocker Shooter, hey, thanks a lot jumping in there with the $9.99 super chat for the cause. Yeah, got you, man. I already got you from last week. I'll go ahead and dump that one in there too. So, TC, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background, where you come from, and kind of the premise of your channel?
Well, I'm an Arizona guy, so we talked a little bit about that. Grew up out here having fun. Hot state, desert state. Made that smart decision to join the Army, much like you did. Got lucky, super lucky. Got to go to airborne school. Got to go to RIP. Got to serve in 2nd Ranger Battalion for my enlistment. The duration of it was pretty cool. Got out, became a college kid. Was making that hard decision after college because I decided corporate America just wasn't for me. I couldn't do the cubicle thing, so I had 2 decisions in front of me. Was either go back in, but I got hired on a law enforcement agency out here, and I've been doing that for the past 15 years, man.
Right on, right on. So with that being said, what have you been able to pull out of your past experiences with, previously with the Ranger Bat and now with law enforcement into your EDC stuff? And that's kind of that's what we're going to focus tonight on for everybody in the chat room. We're really going to be talking about your gear and why your gear might suck. So what are some of the things that are the things that you have pulled into your civilian life that was pretty much what you normally would expect to do in the military or law enforcement area?
One is, like you kind of said, quality gear. Everybody likes to save money, and I do too. But when you're buying something, you got to buy something that's going to be durable and is going to last. The biggest things, for me pulling into was, and I think a lot of people forget this, is medical kit. We weren't, even the military, like late 90s, early 2000s, we didn't really dish out a whole lot of really quality medical gear until later, when these guys had been in country for a long time and they started to get gear. By that time I was out, but they were starting to really get good IFACs, good kits like that. And we didn't have a lot of that, in the late 90s and early 2000s. You were still, doing tourniquets with old Vietnam era dressings and stuff. So the medical thing, either if it's just quick clot gauze or a tourniquet and a light. Okay. Nobody likes to walk around with a light. We've got lights now. They're freaking tiny. You can carry them anywhere. A knife, and then obviously your Second Amendment. Carry it every single place, every single day that you can, unless the law says you can't. You go into like a private business or something, they say you can't carry there, but you should have at least those 3 things on you everywhere you go.
Yeah, that's actually really good. Good comment there, because I know that when I was in the military, when I was just a brand new private and setting up my LBE.
Yeah, the LBE, yeah. Or the Molly gear and the battle belts.
Yeah. I ended up with a pressure dress. That's all I had for medical stuff, right?
That's all we had initially too.
I deployed to Iraq in 2003 and still had the exact same thing, just one freaking pressure dress. And it wasn't until I went to Afghanistan in 2010 is when they finally gave us a tourniquet. And I was like, oh, okay, there we go. I guess we'll just go ahead and put it around the neck. We'll just solve all the problems, right?
Yeah. I remember back then they were teaching don't put tourniquets on them. That was the last option. Now it's the first thing.
Yeah. And that's interesting how they've changed that paradigm, how they changed that mindset. That the very first thing you do is just throw a tourniquet on. So
had to do with the misinformation in regards to losing a limb.
Yeah.
At the time.
Yeah.
So we didn't actually have IFACs here until 3 years ago. I was actually the instructor that taught our department the medical kits, the quick cloth, the tourniquets. We didn't run. I had one. A couple guys had one. Our SWAT guys had them because they were smart enough to have them. But for the whole department, wasn't being issued or carrying medical kit, period, until 3 years ago.
Yeah.
That's crazy, because literally, like, I think the month after we got them, we were using them because 2 of my guys got shot on a call, and we were tourniqueting, stuffing gauze, and I was the supervisor, but the other guys there were. Yeah. So, you got to have that stuff on you. If not, the 3 rules of the gunfight, right? Making holes, stopping holes, plugging holes. You got to have, and that's the progression. You don't want the last one, but you'd rather have 1 and 2.
Yep.
And you've got to have the things on you to do all of that. And if you don't, you're leaving yourself out in the wind, you know?
Yep, absolutely. I see that Precision Holsters jumped in there. Milspec guy, he has a pretty cool comment. He says, nice list of schools, but did you go to UPL?
What list of schools? I didn't even list schools, man.
No, you said we said what, Airborne, and then you went the RIP. So
yeah, I did. No, I didn't go to UBL. I got some other cool stuff. I was actually I think there's only like 15 of us, like the amphibious assault guys. So scout swimmer and all that was terrible. I am not a swimmer. That was the worst thing that I did while it was like right after Ranger school.
Yeah.
My squadron was like, hey, we don't want you to get lazy. We're sending you a scout swimmer. Like 2 weeks after I got back, I'm all beat down. I'm like, and then they had to basically teach me how to swim in the ocean because I had no clue.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't know how to swim until you swim in the ocean against a current.
Yeah. Yeah. I know how to keep my head above water in a pool. That's about it.
Right.
So, yeah. So Milspec guy, obviously he said no to UPL, but yes, I did. I got to go look at Peters. That was pretty awesome. Let's see. Duct tape. That's a great comment for a possible bandage. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to go through here and trying to keep
inclusive dressing, man. Plastic and duct tape works every time.
Let's see. Let's see. Heath Adams in 03 going into Iraq, third of third, got pressure dressings and a cat. Well, that's better than me because I didn't even get any. I didn't get a freaking tourniquet at all. Let's see. Yeah. Eric's just flexing. He is. But you know, that's the thing. Eric likes to look at Peters. So there we go. Okay, so you kind of talked about it already. You said there was a couple different things that you should have always in your kit. Go back over those once again, just to make sure that everybody is on top of that. What are the most important basic items that you think you should have? Yeah,
so your Second Amendment. You know, if you can, a light on it. You know, a weapon-mounted light, not a handheld. You know, because that kind of that old saying, one is none, two is one type thing. But then you know, a light and some form of medical, whether it's tourniquet or combat gauze, the quick clot, anything like that, and your knife. So with those things, you can do a lot.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And whether that's like a Leatherman or whatever you want to carry. I mean, I just carry a blade these days. I don't carry a Leatherman around with me. There's only so much pocket space, you know. Yeah. Some guys I look at what they say they carry with them. And I'm like, where do you fit all that stuff, man?
Exactly. You know, I've got this ABKT knife right here. You know, this one's pretty thin. It works well. I usually just use it to open letters with. So, you know,
right.
Pretty decent. One of the other things I would jump in and say is make sure that if at all possible, keep your phone charged as best you can. That is going to be, you know, it's the whole shoot, move, communicate as best you can, obviously. So a lot of people would advocate that you be on the phone first if you're ever in a situation where you had to defend yourself or you're rendering aid, get on the phone as quickly as you possibly can.
Absolutely, man. I tell people this all the time, both for your own personal safety, self-defense, but your phone is your best friend because it records audio and records video. And that speaks volumes. And, you know, there's all kinds of different engagements and situations out there where somebody's got it on their phone and it totally changes the narrative.
Yep.
You know, it totally changes the story. Plus that's, you know, look at what's going on in Georgia right now. 2 guys went out looking for something and they got it and they're in trouble now. You know, so don't ever go looking. If you can make a call, make a call. That's going to be the safer bet. Don't go looking for something because you'll find it eventually.
Oh, absolutely. It will find you too. So mandatory carry jumping in with his $5 super chat at work, but I'll watch later. Thank you so much. # keep fighting. Where do you fit it? I make my own belt pouches. I'm sure you do. Always interesting with mandatory jumping in there.
That's prison purse.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about you keep on referring to the Second Amendment portion of your EDC. Currently, right now, what are you running for your CCW?
Glock 45 MOS, Trijicon RMR, Streamlight TLR1 HL.
Oh, right on, right on.
That's generally what I wear every day. So when I'm dressed like super light or dress clothes or something, I'll carry like a 43X or a 43 or maybe like a 19 with no light skinned down if I have enough for a pocket light or something. But I generally will carry that 45 MOS on me 9 out of 10.
Yep.
You know.
Right on. And what about the 45 that you like better than the 19 Gen 5 or Gen 5? Gen 5, yeah. What do you like it better than the Gen 5?
Well, the Gen 5, like, it does have a little bit of a better trigger than like the Gen 4, Gen 3, but the 45 specifically, it's like that happy mix between a 19 and a 17. And since I've got these, you can cuss on your channel, right?
Oh yeah.
So I got these big old dick beaters, right? So I'd show you, but we can't show guns in live chats anymore. So a 19 is like about here on my hand.
Mm-hmm.
So my whole pinky, everything is exposed. So that 45 fills that gap, so where I get the slide of a 19. So when I'm sitting down, I don't have a 17 slide digging into my crank, but I've got that 17 size grip, which is perfect for my hand. And then really honestly, you can conceal a lot of gun if you have a good holster and you're not like wearing your pants around your ankles or something. If your pants are at your waistline, you've got a good quality holster, you're gonna be. I know guys that conceal. I know guys that appendix carry Glock 34s with lights on them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see how that's comfortable. The 45 is about all I want, but they do it, and I'm like, more power to you, bro. I don't need that much sight radius. I can aim.
Yeah. So for you guys in the chat room that don't know, because I haven't even told anybody this, TC, he just sent me a holster to borrow. I just picked up a Glock 17. I'm going to actually start carrying it. I've kind of test fitted it today, and the 17's a little big for me.
You got it already, right? The holster?
Oh yeah. I picked it up today.
And the thing is like people get those appendix rigs and they want to carry them like dead center. No, it needs to be offset to the grip side about 5 degrees, and you'll find that it sits in that pocket of your hip far better.
Yeah. With me, the pistol grip is angling out a little bit too much. Yeah. It's not noticeable, just the way that my body I kind of hunch over a little bit, or if I stand up and kind of bow my chest out a little bit, I can get away with it, especially with this shirt. I don't know what it is about. Plug for FPC. Their shirts are pretty freaking awesome. So I've really enjoyed that. And I just got done taking a low light course, and you talked about utilizing a weapons mounted light, and I agree with that. The piece that I took away from the class is obviously you don't want to use your weapon mounted light to be searching around, because you're now muzzling everything.
Exactly. And people do it. I've seen it.
Oh yeah. So that's why I think my stance now is that I am going to utilize a handheld and a weapons mounted light at all times.
The little tiny streamlight right here, that is every bit of one of the best little tiny concealable lights you can get, and it's like $23. Rechargeable. You buy a new one every year. It's barely thicker. It's the same thickness, actually less thick than some of those tactical pens. Mm-hmm. And it's bright. It's definitely bright. It's got a couple of different settings. Probably can't see it because of the lights in here, but it's a good solid little light, man. I buy a new one every year.
It's like 90 lumens, isn't it?
No, I think the newer ones are like over 100 now. This is actually the brand new one that I bought like a month ago. So it's like the newest version.
Yeah.
The battery powered ones I think are 90 still.
Yeah, and I don't know if Art is in the chat room. I haven't seen you kicking around in the chat room there, Art. But if you're watching, he sent a question to me regarding my low light course video I just put out, and he was asking me about the switchback. And man, I think that's the name of it. It's the flashlight that has like little loop on the backside of it, so you can hook it around your finger. And
are you talking about the mod light?
No, I think it's called the
Another
switchback.
one?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's called the switchback. Let me double check. I'm gonna look it up here. But after looking at that, I'm like game. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. And that design, that's been around. I had something like that probably 17 years ago. That's that's nothing new, but it's very good because especially when you're running offhand, light techniques with your pistol, whatever you're going to use that whole FBI method, holding it up with your head, you're going to use the Haris or cross that light, being able to have it around
Mhm.
on that finger groove and be able to punch out it's great. I mean,
Yeah.
because I have literally seen people shoot the end cap off of their light before because they're starting to creep forward. I'm like, well, thankfully it was just your light and not your fingers.
Yeah. So I'm the Thrim switchback. That's what it is. Dan,
Okay.
good. Thanks for that. Yeah, I'm actually considering grabbing one of those because not only did I see him working with that, but another dude that I follow on Instagram, he uses one pretty religiously, and I've seen him use it how they flip that light around their finger to be able to reload or to switch from the light to their weapons mounted stuff too. So
A lot
let's
of
see.
practice, man. A lot of practice.
Yeah. That's why dry fire is so important. Dan Burker also jumping in there saying Raven concealment has an O-ring style like the switchback. So right on, cool. Oh, Blitz, man, God bless you. I love you to death. He's asking, what advantage does a Boba Fett / Mandarin hat give you to your gear? It's +5 charisma, I think, is what it is.
+5, yeah. No, it's actually a guy I know owns this company, so I support him and buy his hats. So it's like the Ranger Crest Boba Fett hat.
There you go.
Plus, like, you've got to have something Star Wars at this point. You know what I mean? Come on.
And the funny thing is, I have all my Star Wars stuff right over here. I'm looking at six Boba Fett things just right over here on top.
I think I have Darth Vader over here. I'm a kid of the '80s, man. I mean, come on.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm not afraid. I got like a stormtrooper up there on a shelf that you can't see in my videos.
Hopefully he's not watching your back because obviously they can't hit anything. So
right, yeah, true. Yeah.
Let's see.
They can kidnap a baby Yoda, but they can't hit the broadside of a barn.
Exactly. Exactly. So Dan Booker, he says, dig the hat, and I heard a certain bounty hunter will be showing up in season 2 of The Mandarin. Ooh, dun dun dun. We'll see what happens. Just so real quick, do you got the specifics on that hat to kind of throw out there for people who are interested?
Yeah. So that's from my buddy Sean. He owns a company called Scroll Factory. He's an ex-Ranger guy too, so he's got a ton of stuff out there, man. He makes stuff for all kinds of different things, for airborne guys, for Ranger guys, SF dudes, because he was an SF guy too. So he's got a lot of cool stuff, man. And anytime I see a guy out there doing something, I always try to throw a little cash away, buy a little something.
Absolutely.
Things have been good for me since I got out, and I'm doing well. So I try to help people when I can.
God damn it. Freaking mil-spec guy. Quit it. That's ridiculous. Totally agree with you. I'm the same way right now. One of my favorite apparel companies outside of the stuff that I do with Ballistic Ink is Sin City Kalash. I'm doing a lot. Oh yeah. I love all the stuff that they're doing. The Major League Goon t-shirt and stickers and stuff like that is pretty cool. The artwork you guys saw back here, my samurai, that was kind of somewhat inspired by the Art of the AK symbol or sticker / shirt that he's got as well. So so needless to say, I'm a big fan. I'll support pretty much anyone. Let's see. What's the other one? Boob Gear, I think is what it's called. He's on Instagram as well. I've done a video for him on Instagram to promote his stuff as well. So
I don't know that one.
It's pretty small still.
Okay.
But man, I think that's
And don't step on no snake. You got Johnny.
Oh yeah, the sneak. Yeah.
No snake.
No, shall not comply. Naturally, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
I've got his shirt. I need to start wearing it a little bit more.
I was gonna wear it because he just sent me the snake one, and I was
Oh
gonna wear
yeah.
it, but I thought you were gonna wear it, so I didn't wear it.
Oh,
I was like, I don't be like twinsies, so I wore my 5.56 shirt.
That's funny. That's funny. Let's see. Boog brand. That's what it's called. Boog brand. So, but I guess the Boogaloo's out. I guess that's we're not doing Boogaloo stuff anymore. So, I guess.
Yeah, that was whatever.
Yeah.
Internet tough guys, man. Internet tough talk.
Oh yeah. So GGLFGGG has a question for you: as what age did you become interested in firearms? Did you grow up in the firearm friendly family? Where did it all come from?
Yeah, so long history of military in my family. My uncle was actually Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. Had family going back long ways. So we'd always, I remember, you'd go to jail for this stuff now, but we used to ride our bikes around the neighborhood shooting each other with pellet rifles as kids. No iPro, no helmets, nothing. Just, butt stroking each other. And that was life back then. And then you'd run up to some dude's house you didn't know with your rifle. Hey, can we drink out of your hose? It was a different world back then. So, we used to shoot in our backyard. We were shooting like pellet rifles and air guns, not like guns. Well, we might have busted off some 22s here and there, but, we'd always been friendly to them. So I was in my direct family, I was the only guy in the military and the only guy that's in law enforcement. But we've always been open to that, pretty conservative. Family is extremely conservative fiscally, but socially liberal. But like whatever you do, more libertarian, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
And, always been a fan of guns, of course, because I grew up watching Arnold movies and Sylvester Stallone and all the 80s action movies. So you wanted every cool gun you ever saw, right? The MP5s and everything like that. The Berettas, even though they suck, from Lethal Weapon and all that. So, going in the military was kind of that one. It's like I thought, I had friends that went in before me and family. So I was like, that's something that I thought was expected of me and that I really wanted to do. So that just kind of furthered my love for guns because, when I first got in, and I first got to bat, I was a gunner. So I was a 240 gunner. And I miss the smell of that thing just burning oil, And now, with everything I do here between building and modifying and I got some long range stuff coming. I'm working with a couple companies and some guys that I was in with. One of them owns a real high end precision rifle company. We're going to be playing with some of those. It's just, it's awesome. It's part of America. It's like people are like, they always want to say we've evolved past something or this or that, but it's like this country was freedom, guns. That's how we won our freedom. That's how we keep our freedoms. And people forget that, there's no unarmed society out there that's kept their freedom ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ever. Don't ever give up your guns.
Ever. Yeah. So, and that's, talking off camera before we started the live chat, talked about, different places that we've both been kind of to, I suppose. Mm-hmm. And I have a job offer on the West Coast in Oregon that it's an open offer. Whenever I can make it out there, I can head out that way. But I'm like, Oregon, I don't know. So I don't think I could give up. I don't think I could give up anything when I'm out there, So, and I'd be that old crusty dude that'd be like, get out my lawn, So yeah.
Yeah, and that's like, like we talked earlier, and I told my wife when we move, I called Johnny from Shall Not Comply. I'm like, we're moving to Tennessee, and I only had that one rule. Can I walk out on my porch, my American flag underwear, nothing else, drinking whiskey, shooting guns, and doesn't anybody care?
Yep.
That's it. That's my one rule,
Yeah. And, just to throw it out there, you can do that in Kansas too.
Yeah, well, yeah, depends on what part of Kansas, and that's weird how like each state has these little like pockets. Sections, like pockets of this like totally crazy liberal stuff, going on into it. Which is like, again, I said, I'm like socially liberal, fiscally conservative. You do you, I'll do me, but don't ever let you affect me. Is kind of how I am, Mm-hmm. So, but on that note too, it's like it's weird because like in Arizona, especially being in law enforcement, we like hey, do you have guns? No. Why not? It's like we like promote it. It's like it's not like other states where they're like, you can't have guns. We're like, no, you should have a gun here.
Yeah.
You should have 5 guns, and you should have it in your. You don't. Is it we're a constitutional carry state?
Yeah. Same here.
So you carry. Oh, I got a gun in my car. Okay, cool. Every day. You do a traffic stop. I got a gun in the car. Cool. What is it? Anything good? So I've had it before. People's like, oh, I got one of those Archon Type Bs. I'm like, oh, dude, let me see it. Can we check this out real quick? And it's weird because other people from other states come here and they're not used to that.
Yeah.
And they're like, you can see them, they're all like shaking and stuff. And I'm like, what's wrong, man? You got a gun in the car? Yeah. Am I okay? I'm all, yeah, just don't reach for it, man.
I had a delivery driver drop some food off here about 2-3 weeks ago, and he was trying to conceal carry, but when he got out of his car, his shirt kind of tucked up underneath his gun. And I looked at it and I was like, I think I know what that is. And he ran off upstairs and he came back down. I was like, hey man, good on you, man, carrying. Yeah. And he's like, oh, thanks. And I was like, what do you got? What do you got? And he's like, oh, it's a oh man, what's it called? It's a Taurus. It's a Taurus. And I was like, G2C? And he's like, yeah, that's it. And I'm like, all right.
Maybe he put this in his butt. And there's 2 things going on right now. That it's they kind of almost bug me a little bit. Like one, because I've been like to the point financially where I didn't know where my next meal was coming from.
Oh yeah.
I've been down to that last dollar, and a lot of us out there have. And I mean, now some people see my guns and stuff and they're like, oh, you must have all this money. It's like, no, I just haven't been stupid with it. So it's like there's 2 things going on right now. One is the poors, that battle of the poors. It's like, you know what? Everybody doesn't have the finances some of us do, and if they can afford a Taurus or whatever it is, I'll tell you right now, being in law enforcement, Kel-Tecs have killed a lot of people, and those are $100 guns. I'm telling you right now, High Points and Kel-Tecs have killed a lot of people. Now you may not be able to run it like a Glock 19 or 17, but it'll still put holes in you. And then like you got all these people now that are like, oh, these morons buying guns right now, I can't get another Glock, and they're just gonna end up selling them in 3 months. I'm like, no, we should be courting these people to stay in the Second Amendment community. We can turn these people into advocates now because they finally seen the government can't protect you. You are your first line of defense, and then sometimes you're going to be your last line of defense.
Yeah.
So it's like those 2 things going on right now, because one, I think everybody should have a gun. Like if you're and I hate to say, you're a law-abiding citizen, you're not out there committing armed robbery, you should have a gun. I mean, you should have self-protection on you. And the fact that states don't allow that for some people, it's just crazy to me, man. Because I mean, the Second Amendment is pretty damn clear.
Yeah. Real quick, Heath Adams, thank you so much. $20 dropping in. Didn't catch the cause at the beginning, but Mrs. Adams and I are in for it. The internet is lagging bad, so we'll catch the video later. Hey, no problem, Heath. Appreciate that very much. Again, all of that will continue to go to Mike and the Moser family. So,
man, that was sad, man.
Yeah, it really. Man, it really sucks.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to sit around and like, oh, Mike was such a great friend to me and everything like that. I consider the Mosers friends. Corinne and I know each other by first name. I had dinner with the both of them last summer and got to really know Mike a lot more than I had seen, other than just hey, hi, how you doing, shake hands.
Yeah.
And so
it's sad because it's the same thing with soldiers, man, and even if you don't know the person, most of us out there in America, we understand that, like, soldiers and law enforcement, firefighters and EMS people, even nurses and doctors, man, and teachers and stuff, they're doing something for the betterment of society. And when those people go out like that, it's hard to swallow. It's tough because, one, it's a loss, but two, it's like there's someone trying to do something positive in the world.
Yeah.
Let's just face it, there's not a lot of really, really positive things going on these days, especially right now. I mean, this whole thing been going on the last couple of months. It's just an absolute shit show.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 It's like I keep on seeing this meme on social media, mainly Instagram, but it's welcome to level 5 of Jumanji.
Yeah. So you're part of your new EDC now is a temporal thermometer, so you can get in. If you have your thermometer, beep, fail, get out. It's like that scene out of Legend.
Yeah.
You know, they scan you to get in a bar or something.
Yeah.
I mean,
Glower, it's just real quick. Mike Moser was on his way into work. He witnessed a hit and run accident. He called it in, was given permission to pursue. He pursued the individual, was able to get him pulled over. When he approached the car, a shootout happened. Mike was able to defend himself, but was hit. Killed the suspect in the hit and run incident, and then Mike passed away at the hospital to the injury. So that's a really, really, really short version of what happened. And again, he, like I said before, he was one of us. He was one of our flock, even though he was in law enforcement. And I know a lot of people are critical of law enforcement, and I get that. I totally get it. I know some of the people in my viewing audience are critical of law enforcement. That's okay. That's your opinion. Great. But at the end of the day, Mike was one of us. Mike was a firearms instructor, not only for police department, but civilians as well, and an advocate for the Second Amendment. So Godspeed, my friend. So, all right, moving on. Gizzard Gary, what's going on? Good to see you. Jeff, hey, what's up? Appreciate you seeing you guys there. So let's talk about lights. You've already brought up that little pin light, the stream light. What other lights do you really like? And I know the answer to it, I think, but I wanted to allow you to talk to the audience real quick. And while you do that, I got to go run and grab another beer. So you talk, I'll be right back.
It's Olight, man. Olight's my favorite.
Exactly. You know,
it's the best light out there.
Every time you say Olight, I get 55 cents. So if you say Olight a few more times,
do you?
No, I don't. But I will say that I have a whole bunch of Olights. I have Olights all over the place.
And I have them too. They keep sending them to me for testing, and I keep taking them, but I keep giving them away. They're not terrible. They're hobbyist lights. They're not like.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't hang my ass on an Olight. I'll put it that way. And I tried. We ran them in a couple firearms instructor courses. I was at a federal firearms instructor course. We ran them. Garbage. It went down. I was lending out real lights left and right to people. I tried doing some building searches with them. They heated up, shut down. So go get a beer. I'll talk.
Okay. Yeah, you keep talking. I get a beer. I gotta get another cold snap.
So when it comes to lights, there's kind of like. You got Surefire, of course, which everyone knows because they got massive military contracts and everybody seems to carry Surefire. You got Streamlight, which is it's a good quality brand. They're durable, they're reliable, they last a long time. The Streamlight stuff has proven itself very, very durable. I had a Streamlight TLR1 that lasted 8 years on a work gun that just ran and ran and ran. And finally I went to turn it on one day and it had died. But, Surefire is good. I know Mod Light is really picking up some steam. A lot of guys seem to be running those. I don't have one yet, so I can't speak to the durability or use of it. I know Phoenix, a lot of people seem to like. And then what's the other one? The Owl. The one that's all one piece. I guess.
Owl. Yeah, I don't know.
I guess it's kind of not turning out to be as good from what I hear from some people. It was kind of. Yeah, I don't know. Everybody's got a different opinion, man, on what's the greatest, and it's just find something that's durable, quality, that's going to last, that's going to work. Because I have this TLR1 HL right here. I've had for like 3 years. I use it. I've shot probably 20,000 rounds of ammo with this on there, and I've had to scrub the freaking thing so many times you can barely see through it. It's a solid light, and it's $120 light. And then you get into the next step up from that, say Surefire X300. And you're talking $300 or $250 or something like that.
Yep.
And I constantly get people asking me, hey, what holster works with this Olight? Which I do have an option for you. For those of you that are looking for Olight holsters, McKinney Holsters has like every Olight now, I think. As of today, he was messaging me, or last night he was messaging me, or like early this morning. And his appendix rigs, $80, man. And they are nice for $80. I mean, my favorite holsters are the Gerbers because they are flawless. They are works of freaking art. But McKinney is doing a really good job, and he's selling his holsters for like $79 and $80, man. And that's $50 cheaper than like the T1Cs and some of the others. So if you're looking for Olight holsters, because you keep asking me, sending me emails, messages, I try to respond to everybody. I really do. McKinney is your guy.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check them out because, like I said, we talked about the holster that you sent me, and
Yeah,
that's just
that's a
online.
T-Rex.
Yeah, it's
So
T-Rex.
you're a Botkin boy now.
No, no, I'm really not. I mean, I don't have any. I've got a Ragnarok holster, you know, and,
Yeah,
and I don't
that's a solid
necessarily,
holster, man.
yeah, and I don't have anything against Botkin.
Yeah,
But at the same time, I'm not like a fanboy, you know. So
nah. So
you
yeah,
you. Oh yeah,
that's the
yeah, yeah.
Gerber. And that, I mean, I have never seen a holster come out this clean. So when I ran into him at SHOT Show, he was actually with Julius from DEF CON, and I was talking to them, and I was like, hey, I have to ask you a question, man. This is an off-the-shelf holster. This is the one you sent out to everybody. He's kind of looking at me like, well, yeah. And I'm all, well, dude, I got to make sure, because I want to make sure you didn't like make sure this was better than what was going out, because it was so clean. I mean, you
Mhm.
can't see a single manufacturing mark, a single bandsaw mark, a single sand mark. And he's with the coupon code he gave me, it was coming out like $30 cheaper than T1C. The problem is when people found out about that within like 3 weeks, he had to stop taking orders, and then now he literally has a waiting list because he got more orders in one day than he was used to getting in a month. So, which is awesome because we want those people to grow, but it's like growing pains, you know?
Yeah. So this is the rig that I'm currently running right now. This is a TAC Lab, and I love this holster. This holster has been great. It does have my PL Mini on it, and it's got a little spot there that I can plug in if I need to.
Was it Mike from Last Line of Defense? I think was the first guy that came up with that little leave the hole for the charger like a couple years back.
Yeah. So
it's a good idea, man, because people are running those Olites, man.
And I've had no problems with mine. I do have a TLR1 HL that I run when I'm doing my outside, battle belt stuff set up.
And most people aren't going to have problems with Olites.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like anytime I'm reviewing something, I'm thinking of, where does this place, right? Is it military stuff? Is this what we want to send dudes kicking doors somewhere with? Is it maybe law enforcement duty style stuff? Is it like civilian airsofter stuff, or is it like just complete trash?
Yeah.
And, and like I keep telling people, like there's a place for Olite. I mean, there is. Like the video I did on that M2R Warrior Pro, I cooked bacon with it. It's good.
It does get hot. Oh man, does it get hot? So, and I had a let's see, I've got an Olite that I ran through tactical responses.
I saw that.
Fighting rifle, and it does fine. But if I'm going to run my Glock 19 with a light in a kind of a duty setup, with my battle belt and everything, I'm switching over to the TLR1.
And let's just face it. I mean, $120 for a TLR1 HL, 800 lumens, great color, great throw, great beam pattern. It's not much more expensive than the comparable lumen Olite, but you're getting a better quality light that's not going to dim down, within the first minute of use. It gets so hot that it throttles down to 200 lumens instead of 15 billion that they advertise.
Yeah. So and that's something that I always tried to bring up when it comes to Olite, is that there is a step down to protect itself. So and Chris jumping in there, says Olite and Natty Light. That's
that M2R Warrior Pro right there. It's on my little man purse that goes with me every day. So I carry it. I mean, it's got a place. I come home and I want to see what's on the other side of the 2 acres of my property. I bust that up and I'm like, oh, look, more rabbits. That's the extent of my use of it.
And I will say that the low light class that I went through just a few weeks ago, I did use my M2R Warrior for that one. It was a little bigger than I would have liked for that class, but it worked just fine. Had no problems, and I was not the brightest. I would say my flashlight wasn't the brightest, and it wasn't a competition, but it was still really bright. I could definitely tell. I could tell a difference between my PL Mini and that one, because you're talking.
Well, people get stuck on lumens, and it's not necessarily about lumens. A lot of it's about candela.
Yep.
So there's kind of this happy median, and there's the the depth of the diode and the angles that the flash reflector, all that stuff. You want to nerd out, you can read on it. There's all kinds of stuff that really goes into how those things function. And just think of the technology. I remember back in the day when I got my first like 100 lumen Surefire, I was like, oh my God, this is the craziest thing ever, and now it's like anything less than 800 lumens and people just laugh at you.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because in that low light course, Chuck Haggart, he talked about Surefire and how one of their ad campaigns for one of the first weapons mounted light was "Take Back the Night," and it was 45 lumens.
Yeah.
It was like,
I can't remember when it was like the M900 or something. It was that massive pistol grip integrated light for the bottom of it. If you had that, like say circa 2007, 2004-ish, something like that, you were the man. I mean, you were like, you were like tier 1 level dude or whatever. And that thing is just the biggest piece of dog shit. I think I still have one in the attic. It's a total piece of trash now. But it was like an $800 light back then.
All right, so let's see. You talked about, I did see a question come through. You did talk about your Glock 45. Yeah. And I've been interested in checking one of those out because it is kind of a flip-flop of what I think Glock should go in. But you did just do a video on one of the greatest pistols ever made. It was so great that they named a year after it.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
1911s, man. Yeah, I got a couple of those coming out.
Yeah. So would you say that that's probably, is that one of your favorite pistols, or what is one of your favorite pistols?
Yeah. So Chrome Desert Eagle 50 cal was the first pistol I ever purchased. Stupid. $1.25 every time you pulled the trigger, but it looked cool. Yeah. So the 1911, it really is my favorite platform, and I carried that at work for years, man. And there was a point where I could run that gun so fast and so true on it. But the problem is, like I say in the videos, if you don't run that thing, it runs you. There's a lot more going on with it. And I went away from it, one, because my Kimber Tactical Entry 2 it needs a rebuild. I mean, there's over 25,000 rounds for that gun, and I've already replaced the springs and all kinds of stuff. I just need to buy a new one and just retire that old girl. And part of the reason I went away from it was because I need a new one, and I'm probably going to go with the 2011. But I may not do that because there's something to be said for conformity. And yes, I love the 1911. I loved carrying it, but you're mitigated to a certain amount of rounds. Capacity is a problem, and conformity comes into play because should I go down or somebody go down next to me and we're in a sustained gunfight, you ain't sticking that magazine in a Glock, which is what almost everybody carries. Mm-hmm. So there's something to be said for that. Plus, my position there at work, I carry a large amount of additional things with me that I'm issued in case we should get in some active shooter scenario or something like that, where I'll be dishing these things out. And that's just not possible carrying that rig. So I had to go away from it and carry Glock again, which isn't my favorite gun. It's not my least favorite gun, but it's the brick that keeps on giving. I mean, it works, it functions, it's super simplistic. You can pretty much anybody can use it and shoot it. It ain't the sexiest thing in the world, but people that say, "Oh, they're trash," well, I don't know, dude. It's going to be around a long time because it's a workhorse. Yeah,
totally. And that's why I continue to go to Glock. I'm actually now considering purchasing a CZ P10C.
Great. Yeah. If we don't have those on the approved list, if we did, I'd probably carry it.
Yeah.
It's such a better, in my opinion, such a better feeling overall platform.
Yeah.
Ergonomically, trigger, everything. And once you get into that little, like an HBI trigger or something in there, it's a whole different level of gun.
Yeah.
So
that's actually a great question for you, a little bit off the list here, but as far as upgrading your trigger, from your perspective, obviously you've got some military time, you got some law enforcement time, civilian, you carry all the time. What's your thoughts on upgrading your trigger?
As long as you're maintaining all the safeties, why not?
Okay.
In fact, I was just on the skill set podcast with Ursula, and we were talking about the same thing. People always bring up this magical, mythical case in law or in the court system somewhere where somebody got in trouble or was held accountable because they had an aftermarket part on their gun or something. There's actually case law out there that says the opposite. They've actually thrown that out because it had no bearing on the use of force or whatever. Mm-hmm. There's been a couple of instances like that, actually. The problem that people get into is they put in some crazy light trigger and don't train with it. That's mm-hmm. how you get finger bangs that go bad.
Yep.
Or they get into doing weird things on their own and they defeat safeties. So in my opinion, the Glock platform specifically and some others are built, it's worse than mil-spec. The variances and tolerance can be so wide that it's crazy. You could clean the Glock trigger up 20 to 25%, I think is the sweet spot for most of the trigger guys that I know, the manufacturers that say that's about how much pre-travel you can release without getting into trouble, right? So connectors, a lot of people do connectors. Connectors are authorized. I know law enforcement agencies that authorize full trigger kits, all kinds of stuff. So there's a lot of myths out there when it comes to that. But if you're comfortable with it, if you train with it, and as long as you don't have something stupid on your back plate that says, smile and fuck off or something like that. It's just poor form. It looks cool on a photo, but there's people that have that stuff, and I'm just kind of like, that's probably not the best idea, because while you may not be held criminally accountable for having something stupid like that, when the civil suit comes, they're gonna get you.
Yep, exactly.
They're gonna get you. Yeah.
Need to take a bit of a. We need to pivot here because Blitz jumping in. He says, "Fit and Fire, do you still have your 6.5 Creedmoor AR-10? How's it running? Starting to buy parts for a 6.5. Just curious. Maybe TC has some input on the AR-10 6.5 platform. Any experience with 6.5 and the AR-10?
Do it and do it now."
Yes.
Yeah, the Creedmoor round, it's gonna last now because that round's been picked up.
Yep.
So everybody else, I've always told people, stay away from these freaking exotic rounds. The 6.5 Grendel, the 6.8 SPC. I mean, how many rounds in just the past 5 years, the 224 Valkyrie, and they go nowhere because there's no ammo support because nobody picked the round up in mass. So the 6.5 is going to be around, and I'm actually building a Bolt 6.5, or my buddy is building me. I'm not building it because he actually machines the actions. So I'll have a 6.5 Creedmoor bolt gun that's built on a JJ Rock action, probably on an AI chassis soon. I don't know what the heck I'm going to put on it for an optic because I'm not going to have any money left by the time I'm done building this thing. But it's a good round. It packs a punch. Some people thought that it was a 270 Win Mag should have got a contract, or any one of these number of different rounds. But the other thing too is if you listen to like Tony Cowden, I'm sure a lot of people on here probably know who he is. He's very intelligent, knows a lot about guns, and he keeps trying to tell people, he says, the AR platform isn't specifically really meant to be a precision rifle, and it's not. It's the way it's built and the way it locks and unlocks and the bolt goes in and all kinds of different things and carbon buildup and barrel whip. It's not like a bolt gun. It's not going to be a tack driver like that. Now, can you be a very high level shooter with it? Absolutely. But what do all of the most long range shooters, the king of 2 miles, are using bolt guns? There's a reason for that. It's a different platform, the way it locks in, the way it does different things. And I'm not a ballistic expert, but when people that's smarter than me talk, I tend to key up and listen to them,
Absolutely. So to answer your question, from my perspective on the Aero M5E1, it was great. I had to let it go, though. I did take it out and do kind of a side-by-side with my Ruger precision rifle. And
you can't compare those two, dude.
You can't.
A bolt gun that's the thing. It's a bolt gun and a semi-auto AR platform. You can't compare the two.
Yeah,
Ruger Precision is a totally different animal, man.
The concept, the idea behind the video that I got was, what should you expect if you're trying to put together a precision rifle? What should you expect from a bolt gun versus a semi-auto? And I was fighting about 14-mile-an-hour winds, gusting up to 20 miles an hour, and my group I think I had one flyer on my Ruger Precision rifle, but my group was within one MOA at 100 yards, whereas my Aero Precision fighting the wind was about 2 MOA, and for me, that's okay. That's good.
Yeah, that's not bad, especially in that wind. But it's think about what you're dealing with as compared to a bolt gun, how it's built, and compared to just sticking a barrel in an AR receiver with nothing really latching it on there besides a torqued on nut that could be still in there at an angle. You know, there's a lot of things going on with the AR platform, and you can accurize it and you can Loctite the barrel end and stick it in there and hope that works. There's a lot of things you can do, but a bolt gun of quality against a AR platform of quality, from what I've seen, generally the bolt gun is going to far outshoot the AR platform. But we're talking from a 1 MOA gun to a 1.5 to 2 MOA. That's all. You can reach out and touch somebody a long way, be this far off, and still get a good clean hit, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I completely
Whether
agree.
it's here or here, it's a bad day with a 6.5.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I'm not taking down any shakes after that through a straw. I'm gonna have to just guzzle it like
that. and that actually opened up the floodgates here in the chat room, because we've got Milspec guy. He's jumping in there saying "weep softly" in 6.5 Grindle. Sorry for you, bud.
I know gun stores that have 6.5 Grindles that have been on the shelf for 3 years and they can't sell them.
Yeah. I mean, it's a cool sounding name, right?
Yeah.
The Grindle. I mean, yeah, okay, but
it sounds too much like grundle to me, which is like, the area between your ball sack and your butthole.
I thought that was your taint.
Well, yeah, it's grundle, taint, whatever. The grundle.
Oh, and then he goes on to say, "I'm dumping my ARs and investing in reloading for my Moser."
Wow, yeah, there's a real accurate piece of history.
Yeah, I know. I just actually watched Enemy at the Gates just a couple of days
ago. Oh, great movie! I haven't seen that forever, man.
Yeah, I had to go back and rewatch it.
That's awesome.
So, but yeah, I mean, 6.5. A lot of people have said it. You said it yourself. It's been picked up by the military, so it's going to be. It's going to be around to stay. When Ryan Kleckner was on the show, he said nothing but great things about it, and he waited to jump on the 6.5 for a little bit, and then now is
I did the same thing. I waited until somebody got a contract, because they had all those rounds going through that. And I guess originally I think it was supposed to be the 270 or the 260, and then somebody else got in charge of it, and they went to the 6.5. It was like, whatever. As soon as they launched that word, I called my buddy. I says, "How much is it going to cost me to build me one of them boat guns you got?"
Yep.
And there was a number here, and I said, "How much is it to build it for a friend?" He said, "That is the friend price." I'm like, "Wow, you're doing well. You want to buy me dinner?"
Yeah, exactly. Normally I get dinner before then. So, GGL of GGG, he jumped in there again. We talked about 1911s, right? They've been around for over 100 years. They've, like you said in your video, they've they were so awesome they named a year after it. Two World Wars.
2 World Wars. And people still use them. I think the Raiders are still using them, aren't they? Or Marsoc or one of those.
Yeah.
If you run them and you treat them right and you clean them, they're amazing guns. They're only held back by their capacity. Mm-hmm. And when you look at the 2011 stuff now, what's hot right now? The STI 2011s. Why? Because it's a 1911 that got gobs of Pez out there to dispense on the range.
Oh yeah.
It's an amazing platform. It just really is. And generally the people that, I hate 1911s. What did you have? Well, I had a llama. Well, they're okay. Sorry here, And I get it. Some people don't like them. They're more difficult to run, but once you can run them and once you can use them, it's really, it's kind of like it's cigars versus cigarettes.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So I actually have two questions. First, LFG, he wants to know, is Glock going to be around 80 plus years from now, like the 1911?
So here, well, let's just face it. Gaston's on his last leg. That he's not going to be around much longer. My understanding is he is pretty much the one that holds Glock back from making like real big changes, still to this day. And there's two schools of thought on that. Do you really want a pistol that's so proven to do sweeping changes? Because every other manufacturer that's done it has had problems. Look at SIG.
Mhm.
Now, I don't care what anybody says, SIG knew that gun was going bang long before they admitted it. A lot of people knew that gun was going bang. And then you're going to tell people, oh, no, there's no problem. The next week say, oh, by the way, we tooled up a complete machine shop to fix this problem that we said last week didn't exist in 48 hours. It doesn't happen that way. So we want stuff that's reliable. We want stuff that's safe. I think, honestly, Glock is going to be around. Yeah. I mean, who's gonna take them out right now en masse? One, they've got law enforcement by the gonads. You got like Smith & Wesson, the M&P series. I think the M&P series is a better shooting gun. Is there a little bit more maintenance? Yes. Are there more parts? Yes. It's a more palatable platform for most people to shoot as far as ergonomics and wrist angle. However, I think if Glock ever cleans up the angle of their pistol grip, or just makes more of like the slimline platform with less of that Glock hump, and cleaned up their trigger a little bit, and gave you just a full pick rail instead of that one stupid notch, I really think that a lot of people that were against Glock would turn the other direction. And I think that stuff may come after, Gaston finally passes on and doesn't have a big say in what's going on with the company, or all those people that do have that big say are gone, and people kind of try to revolutionize a little bit, because they're going to have to at some point, because there's so many things coming out. There's so many good guns coming out. And, I think especially the optics ready stuff, the CZs, the M&Ps and all that stuff, if they were giving those guns to law enforcement as cheap as Glock was, Glock would probably be in a lot of trouble. I'll just put it that way.
No, yeah.
If you've ever seen some of the blue label pricing, I mean, it's good. Now imagine what they're selling 500 guns to a department for.
Oh yeah. I was able to buy a P325 or P320 compact. I always get it confused. It's there. You got the compact and you have the carry. I think it was the compact.
Yeah.
So the shorter barrel version, which would be, I think, in the military designation, would be the M18. Yeah.
M18, M17, M18.
Yeah. So
you want to know why you're paying so much for X5s and for Legions and for SIG 320 cool guns right now? It's because they sold the military a gun for $100. So me and you are paying all the money they're losing to the government. That's why.
Yeah. So do you think that SIG was just after the clout of getting a government contract then?
God, it's tough to say, because 320 is not a bad gun. It's not my preferred gun, but they've got all their machine guns. They're doing a lot of things, and I really think that there's people, they're like H&K. People are fanatical about SIG, right? And I really think that they really want to try and dominate all levels of weapons, civilian, law enforcement, military. And that's a tough ask, because it's always been such a difference in manufacturers, from FN with the machine guns, the saws, the 240s, Colt M4s, all these different things. So I think SIG really wants to try and dominate that, and I think they'll probably do whatever it takes to get there financially wise, because the civilian market's going to make up for if they lose anything on those contracts. And at least, that's just my opinion, because you're telling me they beat Glock on price, or some of people say it's because it's more modular and this and that, but we all know military contracts usually come down to the almighty dollar. And that's just, that's a hard thing to face. I don't remember, we got to test a lot of cool gear when I was in. We tested some really cool stuff, and I don't remember, even in law enforcement and private security contracting and stuff like that, you get a certain amount of overage, but they're still going to go with what is reasonably priced for the mission set or for whatever. But then again, if they're producing good stuff, I don't care what it costs. That's just the way I think about it.
Yeah. I think that there's multiple different tiers to it. What's his name? Small Arms Solutions, I think is his YouTube channel name. He goes into really really in-depth discussions about why the P320 ended up with the contract over the Glock. his
Yeah.
opinions on that and everything. And when I talk about him diving deep, he goes deep into that rabbit hole. So if you guys are interested in really knowing more about the M16 contract, he talks about the Berettas contract. He talks about P320s, M17 contract. Small Arm Solutions is a great channel to talk about that. So had an odd question. I don't know if you have any experience, probably with law enforcement. Might be something to be interested to see what your perspective is. But Eric Davis, he says that he just bought an LEO trade-in Smith & Wesson 40 cal,
Yeah.
and he also bought a drop-in 357 SIG barrel. Is one better than the other? Do you have any experience with the 357 SIG or?
So, the 357 SIG was one of those neck down cased hot rounds, travels at some crazy feet per second pistol round. And same thing with the 40. Who came up with the 40? The FBI ballistics lab, right? So that was the hot thing. And then Glock tried to make the 22s and all that stuff, and they had to add that third pin because they call it the 40 Smith and breaker because it was breaking guns and stuff, right? So that's why there was the third pin in the Glock to deal with that pressure of that 40 cal round. And the 40 cal, it's a solid round. And here's the thing, is that some say, well, it doesn't matter, shot placement. Well, yes, shot placement, but you have to look at wound cavity and ammo type. And I tell people there's sledgehammers and there's ice picks when it comes to ammo. Ball ammo, all that stuff, that's an ice pick, goes right through you. Hollow point self-defense ammo, that's a sledgehammer. It hits you and it holds on and it sends you back because it's going to cause that wound cavity. The 357 SIG is a nasty little round. You look at the ballistics on it, and so is the 40. But the newest Hornady critical duty stuff, that my understanding is that blew the scales on ballistics testing, and that's why the Fed is going with it, because it scored higher than any other ammo ever. Bless you, twice.
Oh, my goodness, Corona.
You got that thing. I'm not going to say it.
I've got the beer flu.
So, yeah, they're good. The 40 cal is not my first choice, one, because the ammo is a little bit more expensive, a little more difficult to come by. I prefer, and I've always been a 45 guy because some fat and slow just does the job for me sometimes, right? When I go to the range, I hog, man, I take a 45. But the 9mm, the ballistics on that ammo now, it's gnarly, and you can't deny it. The people that are like still just these diehard 45 guys, I get it. I love that round too. But the 9mm ballistics now they're great. You can't deny what that ammo can do. The Spear Gold Dot, the Plus P stuff, the critical defense, the critical duty. Those are angry rounds, man. Especially since you can control it. Yeah. You put 4 or 5 of those inside somebody, and it's a bad day.
Yeah. I'm running the what is this that I'm running right now? This is, I gotta check. I gotta read the back of it to figure out what it is I'm running, because I just picked up. Oh yeah, Spear.
Yeah, the Gold Dot Plus P probably.
Oh yeah. 9mm.
That's I have personally seen what that does to people.
Really?
Trust me, that's an angry round. That and the G2 by Spear as well. But that 124 grain Plus P, I've personally seen that, man. That's a gnarly round, and it does its job.
Yep. So I do need to do a little bit more personal testing to make sure that everything lines up, to make sure that I don't need to adjust my red dot and all that jazz. But definitely a really.
It'll be a little hotter.
Mm-hmm.
But just use your man hands.
I have Doug Flutie hands, so
hold on.
Oh my god! Holy cow!
You know what the difference between pink and purple is, right? The grip.
Touche. Yep, that's. I'll have to tell that to some of my friends. Anyway,
keep that one in your back pocket.
Yeah, I will. MW. He says 152 millimeter tow missiles ruin your day and your tanks too. Well, you know, if I'm backing up and doing serpentines, you're not going to catch me on that tow missile. It works every time. So,
Toe.
so all right, so we're going to get into the last little bit here before we get going. We've been going for, oh my goodness, hour, 10 minutes. So I don't want to hold up your evening any more than I already have, but
I'm off tomorrow and I got the big bottle behind me.
Yeah. I see. I've got a bottle I need to start working on too. Some Jefferson Ocean.
I keep telling my wife to stop buying it, man, because I'm like, you know, I've competed in bodybuilding most of my life and all that stuff. And I told her, I was like, I don't ever buy stuff like that because I'm like a fish. If it's in my bowl,
yeah,
it's going down the mouth, man.
Yeah. So, my daughter was over this weekend, and I had to hit the grocery store. So we ended up with Oreos and ice cream, and that stuff's all gone now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So my wife owns a personal training studio, so she's moving all day, so she can eat junk food all day, and she just stays ripped, like 6-pack ripped.
Oh.
And I'm like, babe, I'm not burning 5,000 calories a day. I can't have all this junk food around because I will eat that shit.
Well, I would say congratulations. All right, but one of the last things that I wanted to jump in here is with something I've talked about off and on throughout the live stream, training. Your thoughts, how does it fit into your kit bag? What are some of the most important types of courses, not necessarily from who, but the types of courses that you think are going to benefit you the most?
Yeah, so I've actually started a series of videos on this, and I'm working with a couple other companies to kind of continue it. So citizens, right? You know, the right to vote comes with responsibilities, bucket duty, fire duty, being a good citizen, all those things, right? You know, I've said before, I literally want every American to be armed. I want you to be able to protect yourself, protect your family, because there's a lot of bad people out there. I also think we have the responsibility to be proficient. And a lot of people, you know, they go out there, they buy a gun, and you see it when you go to indoor ranges. People just, I don't even go to indoor ranges because I've had more guns pointed at me at indoor ranges than anywhere else in the world. There's so many good companies out there. And one of the ones, my goal is to try and get into the different parts of the U.S. to work with a couple different companies, put videos out there on so people know where to go. Go to a basic handgun course, a basic rifle course, whatever weapon system you're carrying, to understand those basics. And then literally you can practice a lot of stuff in your home, dry fire, magazine exchanges, you know, put your pistol belt on, put your knees into the edge of your bed and just do like mag exchanges so you don't have to bend over, pick all your mags up. Probably a really great course if you're in, you know, the West Coast is Mike Levy from Knockout Lights.
Oh yeah, I've met him. Yeah, he's a great guy.
He is just a fucking solid dude. Just one of the coolest guys you'll ever meet. So I contacted him, was like, look, dude, I really want to do a video on your course. I'm like, you seem like a solid guy. You've got good fundamentals. You seem like you're well-intentioned. Because there's, you know, some guys just kind of like, oh, I did this and this is the way. If I ever hear an instructor say this is the way, I fucking run. Because you probably don't know what the fuck you're talking about. There's a way to do things. There are a million ways to do things. Some may be better. Tell me what works for you. Help me. We'll find out what works for me. $250 for his classes, man. I can leave Arizona, drive there, get a hotel, take his combat pistol class, have a great day on the range. I was out there. There was DOD guys there. There was really cool people there. We had an amazing time. It was kind of basic for me. And he even comes over to me in the middle of class. He's like, yeah, you didn't learn much. I was like, no, actually, I was like, this is a freaking great class, dude. I wish I had known about this 10 years ago. $250. You've got to do it. You owe it to yourself. Because remember, every one of those things that you put in that magazine, they've got a name and a lawyer attached to them.
Yep.
And if you miss and you hit something you ain't supposed to, you know, those 4 firearm safety rules, man, most people don't even know what they are. If you don't know your target, your backstop and beyond, and you miss that target, God forbid you hit somebody, you're going to own it. And then you got to live with that. And that's tough, man. You got to live with that. But then you're going to pay. You're going to get sued. You're going to be writing that check every week. they're going to take everything you own. I mean, and it's tough because we're asking people that may not have a lot, they can only afford a Taurus. And then we're asking them to take an $800 class.
Yeah.
It's tough, but we've got to do it. And there's actually people out there, especially like victims advocacy places, that will actually provide some training for people. And you've got to do it. And I do it for fun. I mean, I just want to go take these basic level classes to do videos to try and help guide people, because if you don't train with it, you're going to fail. There's no just turning a switch on. You know, you've got to have that proficiency there. You know, and that's like in my videos, I still put the magazine flub loads in there and stuff where I screw up, because nobody's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, I think I ran a bare standard and I put that video on Instagram. It was like 5.83 or something. It was some crazy low number, but I was doing it from 3 yards, and it just happened to be at the end of the day where we've been running guns all day, and it was just super dialed in. You know, at the beginning of the day, I probably ran it in 7 seconds.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody wants to put that perfect video on Instagram. It's like, no, dude, nobody's like, I've seen world double, triple grandmaster guys flub reloads in person. And I'm like, shit, it happens,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So you've got to train, man. And you've got to train a lot. You got to keep up on it.
Yeah. And that's, you brought up Mike. My first NRA annual meeting that I went to was 2 years ago. And he just so happened to be staying at the same hotel that I was. And I looked over and I was like, oh, dude, that's Knockout Lights. And I looked over, I was with Johnny. And, and I was like, that's Knockout Lights. I want to go say hi.
He's just a cool ass dude, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And Johnny's like, well, go say hi. Go say hi. And I was like, all right. So I walked over there, and I was like, hey, I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt, but you're Knockout Lights, aren't you? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, dude, I follow you on Instagram. Here's my business card. I'm a YouTuber, all this other stuff. I'm just all about.
So do you know that guy's like story though?
I really don't know his background. I mean, I know a little bit of his, he's law enforcement, stuff like that, but
no, that's not his life story, dude.
Oh, of course. No.
No. So I'll give you like the quick version, because I asked him. We go out there, I go to he's got 2 ranges, an equipment yard, that's all his property you see him shooting on.
Right.
He's got a couple ranges out there. It's an amazing place, Ventura County. I go out there and we're doing this training, and I stopped him halfway through, and I'm like, dude, are you like, you come from money? I'm like, because I read his bio. He graduated with a master's from Pepperdine. I'm like, this dude what is this? Like, this is not normal for this guy who's a reserve SWAT sergeant or reserve sergeant that's on the SWAT team that's running. He's got, all this gear, all these ranges, a 523 acre property in Ventura County. And I'm like, do you come from money or this and that? And he just kind of laughs, it was just me and him talking on the side. He's like, oh no, dude, I made a fuck ton of money when I was younger. I'm like, well, one, how old are you? And he's like in his 50s, right? He doesn't look like it.
No.
So he was in like a CEO of a finance company or something, made a ton of money. And he's like, dude, I always wanted to be a cop or in the military. And I graduated college and I was making all this money and I just didn't do it. And then I retired, I bought this property, and I started training and teaching and doing all these things. So it's like his second life, man. So it's a really cool story, because his heart was really in that, and he kind of chose to do something different, but then he came full circle after he was done with that and started doing the law enforcement thing and the teaching thing. And it goes to say a lot about who he is as a person.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a cool story, man, because I was like, wow, that's pretty freaking cool, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, and he was just like, he told me at the time, and this is quite some time ago, he's like, we exchanged cards, and he's like, dude, just give me a call up, and if you're out on the West Coast, I normally do a lot of training on Coronado, so, it might be hard for you to get on. I was like, well, I mean, I'm a dependent, and he's like, oh, you are? And I was like, yeah, I was like, here's my ID.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, cool. Well, yeah, come on out, man. We'll get you set up. And, trying to find the time at this point is where
it's really worth it, man, because it's just fun.
Yeah.
It's one of those dudes where you get to go out and you train with him, and depending on, he's always doing this stuff with Jerry Padika and Kawa and all those guys. And when you find that group of people that you can go and train with, man, I mean, that takes you to that next level.
Yeah.
Because it's fun, and you're pushing each other, and you're pushing the speed and the drills, and you're having fun, and that's what makes it all easier and more fun and better and all that, dude.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. We've been going for about an hour and 20 minutes, but I do want to give you an opportunity to talk about talk about whatever you want to talk about. Where can we find you? All of that type of stuff. So we can at least get some of my viewers over to you and start following you if they're not already doing it, which you should be.
Yeah. So everything I have is just at Tactical Considerations, my website, my YouTube, my Instagram, all that stuff, so super simple to find. And I know you talked about the law enforcement. Some people are anti-law enforcement. It's like, you know what? You should never blindly and follow anything to include your own government or anything else. Always ask questions, even question the existence of God, right? Always do that stuff. That's like that Greg, the guy we talked about a little earlier, who made that video in his uniform and now is going to be terminated for talking about obeying the Constitution.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's scary stuff, man.
Yep.
So, and if you can, I'd love to shut that guy out, because
absolutely,
that man's going to lose. That man is losing his job now because he told fellow law enforcement officers to obey the Constitution rather than an order from someone who didn't have the power to give an unconstitutional order. And that's kind of crazy, man. So Greg, if you can support that dude, he's got a GoFundMe, he's got everything going on, and we need to throw support behind that guy, because he put his money where his mouth is. And there's a lot of people out there on the internet that say all this stuff and they spit venom and you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that, but you don't see them quitting their job to go be a Second Amendment advocate or be a constitutional advocate or anything. I just want to spit venom online. That dude put his money where his mouth is, and it cost him. And he'll be fine. That dude's going to land on his feet. He's a second ranger. He's going to land on his feet.
Oh yeah.
Right. But in the meantime, dude's going to need support. He's got 3 little girls. He's got a mortgage payment. So support that dude. I appreciate you having me on, man. It's been a blast, been fun. I think I probably drank a little bit too much Jameson. But it's awesome, man. I appreciate you having me on, because I reached out to you. I thought it would be fun. Another Army guy. So
yeah. We need to get back together. This next time that we have you back on the show, I'll just let you fill out the questions, figure out the questions that you want to talk about.
We need to organize like a social media range day thing, training class with like all of us, like Johnny B, you, Mike Levy, all those guys, and just go do one of those days at his ranch, dude. Stay out there, freaking cook hot dogs and shit over a fire. He'll do it, man. I bet he will.
Oh, I would love that. Definitely.
And it'll make for great videos.
Yeah. Anytime that I get to wear any of this stuff right here,
dude,
I'm happy. I'm really happy.
God, I miss wearing that stuff, dude. And I don't want to wear it in videos because I don't want to seem cheesy. But God, I miss the days where you put all that kit on and then you just hurry up and wait and you sit around
especially in airborne when you're all freaking set up and they're like, okay, I'm glad you guys are all set up. Now sit down and watch this video. We'll be ready to go like 2 hours, 4 hours later. Standing up,
or there's the winds are too high and your bird's just circling and circling and circling. I jumped a red light once. I was like, no, fuck this, I'm out of here. Landed in the Yellow River in Florida.
So if you guys don't know, if jumping a red light means that you went out before you were supposed to, and usually you're not over the DZ or the drop zone. So luckily enough, when I went through airborne school, I'm not a 5 jump chump. I'm actually a 6 jump chump, I guess. But I went through airborne school. I had one additional jump outside of airborne school as well. You were in the was not the one. You were in the armor unit, weren't you though? So I was first armored. Yeah.
First
Yeah. So first armored division, 113 armor. And then when I transitioned to officer, I went to 101st Airborne. So choking chicken. Yep. So So I was able to get a jump school slot through some backdoor dealings. I may or may not have done some unsavory things.
Hey, what are you willing to do to advance your career, right? Yeah, but you were the dope on a rope, man. The 101st Airborne.
Yeah. So air assault as well.
Yeah,
So,
and I just tell people I got lucky because I went in as an X-ray. I was supposed to be mechanized. In fact, I went in with my best friend. His twin brother went in with me, and he ended up at Fort Hood as a mech. And that's what I was supposed to be. But my drill sergeant plucked me out and said, "Hey, you ever heard of the Rangers?" I'm like, "Yeah, I heard they're cool." I was like 18 is stupid. He's like, "You want to be one?" I'm all, "Well, I was told to never say no, so yeah."
Yeah.
And that's how I ended up. Yeah, that's how I ended up going to vet.
Yeah, there you go.
It just worked out.
Yeah, that was it was interesting too, because when I went into the recruiter, I sat down, he says, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "I don't know, what is there to do?" And he's like, well, what do you want to do? You tell me and we'll figure it out. And I'm like, well, I don't want to be infantry. Those guys.
That's what I said.
Really?
I walked in and they were like, "What do you want to do?" I said, "Infantry," because the war was picking up in Kosovo and Bosnia.
Okay.
So I was in the middle of that, and I said, "Send me as infantry." I already had friends that were deploying. I was like, "Infantry." I was like, "I don't give a shit what it is. Make me an infantryman. Give me a fucking rifle, and let's go."
Yeah. So I wanted to fight, but
You're like, "I'll do comms or like 71 Lima."
No, no. I was like, I want to fight, but at the same time, I don't want to be like infantry because I've been watching all these like Vietnam movies right before I went into the recruiters.
Like Save It Private Ryan and shit.
Yeah. And
oh
like
my God.
this one little bullet hits a dude and he's just like like dead. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do that. Is there something like that, but not like that? And they're like, well, you want to be on tanks? I was like, oh, big steel heavy thing?
King of battle, man. King of battle.
Yeah. Cadillac of the
Well, it's funny because you say that, but when I was in RIP, it's RASP now, it was a Ranger Indoc program. I walked into the chow hall at 3rd Ranger Battalion when I was in RIP, and a staff sergeant in his dress whites working in the kitchen comes out, looked like a goddamn Guatemalan general. And I'm like, holy shit, this dude's a cook, but he's fucking killed more people from smallpox. Because all of our guys in battalion are the guys that did paperwork, the guys that they were Rangers. So they had to go through RIP, they'll go through Ranger school. And that was cool because it was crazy, but yeah, it's cool, man.
Yeah, tankers end up with a pretty good stack too, because every time we go to gunnery,
and hemorrhoids. Bouncing.
In him, yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay, we got to get out of here. We got to get it.
All
so
right,
we got to get back together. Yeah, we got to get back together here in a few weeks or so, and we'll just pitch it off to you and let you lead the way on this one. So because and on top of that, right before we jumped on here, and I now have to finish it once I get off, is I started watching Black Hawk Down. So there you go.
Man. Yeah, I served a lot of those guys, man.
Yeah. So it's one of my interesting. There are so many freaking actors in that movie that have become big names, right?
Exactly.
So dude, what's the dude that played Bane in the Batman movie? I can't think of his name. He was also
know me before I wore the mask.
That dude. He also played Venom. He's in it. He plays
so many dudes.
Saul
the guy from Troy was in that movie. The guy that was in the Star Wars movies was in that movie. There was a lot of dudes in that movie.
Yeah, Ewan McGregor.
That was a good movie, man. And there was.
Oh yeah.
When I went in,
Tom Hardy.
A lot of those guys were still in, and those were my first squad leaders and stuff. Were some of those guys, man.
Yeah.
That was learn from those guys. Even though that was a short mission, that was a shit mission.
Mm-hmm.
And those guys had to pull through a lot, and that's like dudes now that are still in, man. Oh God, 20 years now. I mean, I know guys that are retired now that spent the vast majority of their mid-20s and 30s deployed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, my God, dude, 10, 12 deployments.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot, man.
So
that's a pace like nobody else has seen.
My old neighbor lived across the street from me. He's now at SAR Major School down in El Paso. And his left arm was like all the way up to his elbow. He was in the Ranger Bat. He was a Ranger First Sergeant. He was a Ranger Sniper.
Yeah.
And all the deployments associated with all of that, and the stories that he would tell. Just get him a 3 or 4 beers in him. The next thing you know, he starts talking. And
but isn't it how crazy how humble those guys are, though?
Oh yeah. I know.
So that's like I was on a podcast, that Skill Set.
Yeah.
That dude Jason Swar. I knew he was in the Marine Corps. I did not know that dude's level until me and him kind of had a side conversation, and I was like, "You are aware you're kind of like way up here," and he's just the coolest dude ever. But like, dude was off the charts, crazy stuff in the military, contract work, all kinds of stuff, man.
Yeah.
And those dudes, I always tell people, I'm like, those dudes, you'll never know who they are.
Nope.
When those dudes are at that level, you'll never know who they are because they're just super chill, super relaxed, super, just, oh, come on, dude. Yeah, they're almost like damn hippies, man. Like, oh, bro, dude, what's going on? And then you find out they're like freaking 20-year Delta guys or something.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So they already have a plan to kill everybody in the room. So yeah.
Yeah, right.
All right, man. We're going to get out of here. Thanks again to everybody in the chat room. I really do appreciate you guys taking the time on your Monday night to hang with us. And we will catch you next week. Next week, we've got Shooting Stuff Australia is going to be back on. There's a lot of stuff going on in Australia that we wanted to talk about as far as gun rights and how they're locking everything down. So I wanted to
lack thereof.
Yeah, exactly right. And he wanted to jump back on and talk about what's going on down there. So if you guys are interested in finding out what's going on below the equator, on the map, that is, keep it up here, guys, not in the gutter. Then join us next week. We'll have Shooting Stuff Australia
below the belly button.
Make sure you're swinging by and subscribing to Tactical Considerations. Great channel, a lot of great fun. He has fun in his videos. So and you said some more 1911 stuff coming out here soon. A lot more
1911, a lot of 2011 stuff. Archon. I got some really exotic weapons coming in, man.
Right on.
Some crazy stuff, and then we're going to be bringing in some people. Still in the works. We're going to be bringing in some people that are pretty cool.
Cool. You said you have an Archon B coming? Is that what you said?
Got an Archon coming.
Ooh, nice.
I got some interesting things coming. I can't let out of the bag yet.
No. Yeah, that's good.
Some of it's actually on an NDA, so there's some real weird stuff coming, man.
Cool. Well, I really do appreciate everybody swinging by, and as always, I got to say good night to everybody in the chat. As always, keep calm and carry. We see you guys later next week, hopefully. Take it easy, guys. Bye.